Hello guys, my name is Melissa Putra Viva and I'm here to explain you about procedure for taxpayer registration. So tax payment can be made in several ways. The first one is pay on taxes, and the pay on taxes divided into two. There are monthly installment payment and then payment of PPH article number 29 after the end of the year. So monthly installment payment can be called as tax that is paid in installment. You can see on PPH article number 25. So the goal of this payment is to ease the burden on taxpayer, considering that the taxes owed must be paid off within 1 year, and this payment must be made by yourself and cannot be represented. Jadi pembayaran pada metode ini adalah pembayaran angsuran tiap bulan. Tujuannya sendiri adalah untuk meringankan beban wajib pajak karena pembayarannya itu dilakukan secara per bulan. And the second one is about payment of PPH article number 29 after the end of the year. So PPH article number 29 is an underpaid income tax that must be paid by taxpayer which has been written in the annual tax return or SPT. Or in Indonesia we can say that surat pemberitahuan tahunan. In a simple way, the tax from PPH article 29 that must be paid is the remaining income tax payable in a certain tax year which must then be reduced by the amount of the PPH credit. Jadi pada pembayaran PPH pasal 29 ini yaitu pajak kurang bayar yang harus dibayar oleh wajib pajak yang telah dituangkan pada surat pemberitahuan tahunan. Nah, secara sederhananya pajak PPH pasal 29 ini harus dibayar. Yang harus dibayar adalah sisa pajak penghasilan yang terhutang dalam 1 tahun pajak tertentu, yang kemudian dikurangi dengan jumlah kredit PPH. Nah, apa yang dimaksud dengan kurang bayar? Nah, kurang bayar ini merupakan uang yang kita bayar untuk membayar pajak itu tuh kurang gitu. And then we jump to the next method. It is through withholding and collection by other parties. You can see that on PPH pasal 4 ayat 2, PPH pasal 15, PPH pasal 21, PPH pasal 22 dan 23, kemudian PPH pasal 26. So, through withholding and collection by other parties, the meaning of other parties is income providers, employers, and other parties determined by the government. And the third, through foreign tax payment. Or you can see on tax article number 24. So this is about regulation that regulates the right of taxpayers to utilize their tax credits abroad to reduce the value of taxes owed in Indonesia. Jadi wajib pajaknya itu memanfaatkan kredit pajaknya di luar negeri untuk mengurangi nilai pajak yang terhutang di Indonesia. Nah, dengan dia melakukan hal tersebut, maka jumlah pajak yang harus dibayar di Indonesia itu udah dikurangi dengan jumlah pajak yang dia bayar di luar negeri, sepanjang nilai kredit pajak di luar negeri tersebut tidak melebihi pajak yang terhutang di Indonesia. Penggunaan kredit pajak di luar negeri ini dimaksudkan agar wajib pajak tersebut tidak dikenakan pajak berganda. And then number 4, collection of VAT or PPN by the seller or by a government appointed party. For the seller, the example is when we buy something in Indomaret, uang yang kita bayar ke kasir itu sudah ditambah dengan PPN. Nah, jadi kita tidak langsung membayar ke negara, tapi melalui penjualnya. And for the government appointed party, for example, a government treasurer or badan-badan yang kayak gitu. And then we jump to the fifth method. It's about payment of other taxes. So the first one is payment of land and building tax or PBB atau pajak bumi dan bangunan. Settlement based on the tax return payable or SPPT. SPPT adalah surat pemberitahuan pajak terutang. And for the Jakarta area, PBB payments can already be met using ATMs at a certain bank. Jadi untuk wilayah Jakarta ini dia udah istimewa kan karena dia ibu kota negara. Pembayaran pajak bumi dan bangunan ini sudah bisa dilakukan melalui ATM. And then payments of fees for the acquisition of lands and building rights or BPHTB, yaitu payment of taxes on the acquisition of lands and building rights. It is about pembayaran biaya perolehan hak atas tanah dan bangunan. And then the third one, payment of stamp duty or bea matrai. So payment of tax on documents that can be made by using a stamped object in the form of a stamp or stamped paper or by other means such as using a stamping machine. Jadi ini merupakan pembayaran bea matrai, yaitu pembayaran pajak atas dokumen yang dapat dilakukan dengan menggunakan benda bermatrai, berupa matrai atau kertas bermatrai, atau dengan cara lain seperti menggunakan mesin matrai. In addition, for payment of stamp duty or bea matrai, yaitu pajak yang dikenakan atas dokumen yang bersifat perdata dan dokumen untuk digunakan di dalam pengadilan. Nah, dokumen yang bisa dikenai bea matrai ini yaitu dokumen berbentuk surat yang memuat jumlah uang, dokumen yang bersifat perdata, dan dokumen yang digunakan di muka pengadilan. Misalnya, dokumen kontrak pengadaan perlengkapan kantor dan dokumen perjanjian pembangunan gedung kantor. So, that's all from me. The next material will be explained by Firmansyah Kaputra. Bye-bye!
Okay, thank you for Melissa. Next, I will explain about taxpayer K number and taxable entrepreneur information. Okay, for the first, I will explain about tax identification number. Tax identification number is a facility in tax administration that is used as a personal identity or identity of the taxpayer. Each taxpayer only given one tax identification number. The TIN is also used to maintain order in tax payment and in the supervision of tax administration. The taxpayer, by having a TIN, they have several benefits such as repayment taxes as a requirement when administering trade business permit and as one of the requirements for making checking account evidence. The taxpayer who do not register to obtain tax identification number are subject to sanction in accordance with the provincial tax law and regulation. For the next, I will explain about taxable entrepreneur. The function of inauguration is not only used to determine identity of taxable entrepreneur, which is also useful for carrying out the right and obligation in the field of value-added tax and sales tax luxury goods, as well as for supervising tax administration. Taxpayer and taxable entrepreneur who doesn't fulfill, register, and report his business taxpayer identification number or inauguration of taxable entrepreneur will be issued. This is example of the taxpayer identification number following this picture.
In Indonesia, the people adhere to the system assessment to pay their tax, which is easier and undemanding. The taxpayer is given a responsibility in exercising rights and obligations in the field of taxations based on tax professions. They are obligated to register themselves to get a tax identity number or NPWP to be confirmed as a taxable enterprise. According to PGA Adriani, the purpose of tax itself is to finance expense and government is obligated by the fact it's funded by tax to provide for the people that pay for it directly. The tax identity number is the number to identify a taxpayer. The use of TIN is to claim the tax benefits or exclusions or pay taxes. Taxpayers has to fill the annual tax returns, and the employers reporting the wages paid to employee have to provide the employee TINs. This TIN has proven to be capable of providing various convenience in the tax administration system in the country. Indonesia already had TIN since 1984. The global TIN is a universal TIN that applies to all countries. Due to its universal nature, the global TIN must have the same structure and system. Although, if you observe it more deeply, it is possible that each country has different rules in terms of giving TIN to taxpayer in their own countries. There is some benefits from TIN, among others, the process of exchanging tax data and information between countries become much easier. By just referring to the same TIN number, it will be easy to know the transactions from the same TIN number, which carried out in various countries in the world. The issue is how to get data on multinational companies in which operate in a certain country. Multinational companies operating in various countries are basically one business entity which utilizes resources located in a various country for the same purpose to gain a profit. From the point of view of government that manage the state taxes, a multinational company is a collection of business entities in various countries that communicate to work together to achieve its interests. To be able to understand the information of multinational companies comprehensively, a country's tax authorities need to cooperate with each other. Most countries that have used the IN as the identity of taxpayer already have a system on how to provide the IN to the taxpayer. As in Indonesia, every taxpayer basically has a certain TIN, except for taxpayers who are branch companies or affiliated companies are assigned the same TIN. Anyone who pays tax or is expected to pay tax is also expected to have TIN. It plays important role in a lot of transactions. As business owner or salary earner, it's important for you to get the TIN. This makes it possible for you to pay your tax. You wouldn't be able to operate your bank account without your TIN. For you to run business, it's advisable to register and pay taxes as required. Nowadays, most companies will not advertise with you if you don't have TIN.
Hello everyone, I'm Baimana Halana Budian, and in here I'm going to talk about the place and the time of registration while we are doing the payment of taxes. So basically we are having 2 points here. That the first one we are going to talk about the place while we are doing the payment, and the second one we are going to talk about the time. Like when is the last time that we have to pay our taxes, and we are going to talk more about these points in this video. And now we are going to talk about the place. The implementation of tax payments or deposits is carried out in the state treasury through some services. The first service is at the counter or teller, and the second services are using other electronic systems at the perception bank or perception post or perception foreign exchange bank or foreign currency perception bank. Tax payments and deposits are made using a tax payment letter, or in Bahasa we call it as surat setoran pajak. So in here, we are going to know more about SSP. SSP is a proof of payment or payment of taxes that have been made using a form, and the SSP form is made in 4 copies with the following designations. The first sheet is for taxpayer receipts, and the second sheet is for the State Treasury Service Office, and for the third sheet is to be reported by the taxpayer to the Tax Service Office, and for the fourth sheet is for pay office receipts. If necessary, the SSP can be made in 5 copies with the 5th sheet allotted for the receipt of the collector or other parties in accordance with the applicable tax provisions. Okay, so in here we are going to talk about the instruction for filling out the tax payment letter or surat setoran pajak. I already put some of the columning that you can find in SB with some details beside of every column, and you just can write it. But in here, like there are so many columns that you can find in SB, and there are NPWP, and there is nama WP, alamat WP, NOP or nomor objek pajak, and there is alamat objek pajak, kode akun pajak, etc. There are so many columns there. And for the example, for NPWP column, we just need to fill it by write down our tax number. As we know that we are, as a person, that we are having our own tax number, right? And we call it as NPWP. And there are also nama WP, and we fill nama WP column with our name, because there it says that we have to fill out dengan nama wajib pajak, and it's our name because we are a person and we call as wajib pajak. So we fill it by our name, and there is alamat WP with some details, and also there is NOP, alamat objek pajak, kode akun pajak, kode jenis setoran, uraian pembayaran, masa pajak column, tahun pajak current, and all of the details in every column. And that's the explanation for the instructions.
And we have to pay our tax with Indonesian currency. But if you are the one as a taxpayer or wajib pajak yang telah mendapatkan izin menyelenggarakan pembukuan dalam bahasa Inggris dan mata uang dolar Amerika Serikat or dollars currency, akan melakukan pembayaran PPh pasal 25, PPh pasal 29, dan PPh final yang dibayar sendiri, which are self-paid by the taxpayer itself, serta surat ketetapan pajak dan surat tagihan pajak yang diterbitkan dalam mata uang dolar Amerika Serikat dengan menggunakan mata uang tersebut. Pembayaran pajak dalam mata uang tersebut dilakukan ke kas negara melalui bank persepsi mata uang asing.
In here, we are going to talk about the time. In reporting, there is SPT or surat pemberitahuan, or is tax return in English, is a means for taxpayer to report matters relating to tax obligation, and the SPT must be filled out correctly, completely, and clearly in the rupiah currency unit and signed and submit to the tax service office.
So in here, we're going to talk about the time for tax payment and reporting tax. And actually, I already put a table there that's going to explain about the tax payment and reporting tax with some details. For like the number in the number one, there is PPh pasal 21/26. For the tax payment is tanggal 10 bulan berikutnya, and for the reporting tax is 20 days after akhir masa pajak. In for PPh pasal 23/26, tax payment is tanggal 20 in the next month, and for reporting tax is 20 days after akhir masa pajak. And then there is PPh pasal 25. For the tax payment is tanggal 25 in the next month. For the reporting tax is 20 days after akhir masa pajak. And for PPh pasal 22, PPN and PPN BM oleh Bea Cukai, the tax payment is 1 day after dipungut, and for the reporting tax is 7 days after the payment. And then there is PPh pasal 22, bendaharawan pemerintah, the tax payment is pada hari yang sama saat penyerahan barang. And for reporting tax is tanggal 14 in the next one. And the next one is PPh pasal 22 Pertamina. For the tax payment is sebelum delivery or dibayar. And then the reporting tax is paling lambat tanggal 20 setelah masa pajak berakhir. And then PPh pasal 22 pengimut tertentu, the tax payment is tanggal 10 bulan berikutnya, and reporting tax is 20 days after akhir masa pajak. And then PPh pasal 4 ayat 2, the tax payment is tanggal 10 bulan berikutnya, and then for the reporting tax is 20 days after akhir masa pajak. For PPN and PPN BM PKP, the tax payment is akhir bulan berikutnya sebelum penyampaian SPT. And for the reporting tax is akhir masa pajak berikutnya. And then there is PPN and PPN BM bendaharawan, and the tax payment is tanggal 15 bulan berikutnya. And then for reporting tax is 20 days after akhir masa pajak. And then the last one, there's PPh wajib pajak orang pribadi, and the tax payment is tanggal 25 bulan ketiga setelah bayarnya tahun atau bagian tahun pajak. And the reporting tax is paling lama 3 bulan setelah akhir tahun pajak atau bagian tahun pajak. And for PPh wajib pajak badan, the tax payment is tanggal 25 bulan keempat setelah berakhir tahun atau bagian tahun pajak. And for the reporting tax, itu paling lama 4 bulan setelah awal tahun pajak atau bagian tahun pajak. So there is the explanation for the time for tax payment and reporting.